who would I be if I was just left completely alone and completely to my own devices? How would I look? What would I act like? Hello. Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing it. I'm doing the YouTuber thing. I have my setup, I have my set up. I kind of did my eyebrows, so there's something for you to look at. Today I'm talking about loneliness and how badly I want it. Yum, 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 give it to me. I want to be alone so badly, and I will tell you why. In a world that entices us to browse through the lives of others to help us better determine how we feel about ourselves, and to in turn feel the need to be constantly visible, because visibility these days seems to somehow equate to success, do not be afraid to disappear and see what comes to you in the silence. Michaela Cole. What I'm talking about today, my thesis. I have spent so much time conforming to my perceived needs of what other people want that I no longer know who I am or what I want. I'm going to be exploring this idea through the topics of social anxiety, social media, and society itself, all very specifically pertaining to me and my experiences, and I'm hoping you can relate through them. But this is like a very little to no researched video essay. So I think I can confidently say I haven't been myself since 2018 to 2019, and maybe that's just like my romanticized memory of myself, but like that's when I think I can last recall feeling completely just like me and content, you know? Now let me tell you what was happening around this time, because it was kind of sad. I had very little friends. A lot of my friendships were fleeting, gone, or just like not easily accessible. I moved into an apartment for the first time where I wasn't friends with my roommate. Like, I didn't know her. We just happened to be roommates, and we did not like each other. And again, being off campus, like, again, really sort of isolated me from like my friends or even just seeing people on a regular basis, because like I wasn't walking to the caf to get food or like anything like that. I was completely by myself, and I can't express how like just joyful I was on a day-to-day basis. I don't know, I was just doing a lot of things that in the moment I was like, oh, this would make me happy if I did this right now. And I was just at peace. Now moving forward to the end of 2019 and the start of 2020, everything changed. I started a new internship where I was just with a lot of like-minded people. I made a lot of friends that way. I also just made new friends in general, not even at my school. I just happened to fall into this group of people who, again, were just super like-minded, super fun, great to be around. It was the type of friendship I hadn't had in a while, and it was really refreshing at the time, because I had a social life. Now the thing about this time of my life is that I amped up my personality, so I would be funny and cool enough to hang out with these new people. There's no pressure on their part, it's just something that I found myself doing because I just thought they were so cool and I wanted them to think I was cool. I was definitely turning myself up a couple notches to like fit in. It made me extremely anxious sometimes, but I think I just used my anxiety to like feel myself, if that makes sense. I was a theater kid for years, even with my like shy and reserved personality. I found ways to push myself outside of my comfort zone, and I think it felt very much like that. Like it was kind of a performance. I wasn't ever fully comfortable. I think that was the beginning kind of to me losing my sense of self. So moving forward, 2020, it had been on this continuous high for months with this new friend group, this new life I had found myself in, and it all crashed. It all just like ended at once. I moved back in with my family, and though I love my family and I'm very comfortable with them, it's not the same as being an independent person, you know, especially once you've had it. Going back just feels like you're returning to a old version of yourself, and like stepping backwards kind of. I just think naturally with the comfort of familiarity, there's also a comfort in structure and rules that have been established, and that was my family. Like there's a structure, there are rules, there are things that I know and I've always known, and once I'm back there, I'm back in that headspace and I have to follow it. And now that I was back home and in this weird headspace with my family, the whole world had also stopped and was in a very similar situation. A lot of people went home and lived with their parents again, something they hadn't done in years. And so I wasn't alone in that. And it's like I could feel it everywhere. I mean, you know what happened. You were there. BLM convos about morality and who was good versus who was bad started coming up. I, like the rest of the world, realized that TikTok was more than a dance app for 12-year-olds, and this may be the start of my more intense spiral outside of myself. There was also a lot of misinformation being spread that led to a lot of like self-diagnosing on mental health. Oppression Olympics were rampant. There was just this sort of communal judging of like people and seeing who was on the right side of history. And just the frequency of images and videos I was consuming every day was enough to me to not have a single thought at all. I was simultaneously trying to make sure I was being the right type of person and like a good person, you know, like I didn't go to any protests because I was scared of COVID, but I also didn't want people to think that I was not supportive of a cause that was supporting me, you know. It was just so many mental gymnastics in my head. I felt like I was literally in a stretcher and my brain was just slowly being pulled until like it was mush. I had no thoughts. I think a lot of people had to sort of check out during that time, because aside from just seeing Black people killed on TV over and over again, trying to make sure that you were perfect, at least on social media, was too much. So what did I do? I distracted myself some more on TikTok.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
I would just skip videos that had to do with anything that wasn't just like simple happy mind thoughts until I just didn't have to think anymore. And it worked. I did it. And I wasn't thinking. 2021, I came out and I moved out. But coming out to my family was hard, and it was something I thought I was never going to do. I was deathly afraid of it, but I did it. And I also moved out. I lived with a bunch of other queer people, which was cool. It was nice, it was fun. However, it did come with more little identity issues. I had this new label, you know, and I didn't really know how to act within it. Like, I didn't know what that meant for me, because even though it felt right, it was so unfamiliar and scary. But I moved into a house with a bunch of queer people, and so what I found myself doing was just remolding my likeness into my roommates, because I was like, they're queer, they know how to do it, they have a lot of thoughts about things, so I'll just be like them. A lot of what I heard from them were things I would hear on TikTok as well, just like, oh, this type of lesbian, or this type of gay person, or are you this and this, you know, just like very boxed in labels. Even astrology, like I didn't talk about astrology much before I lived at that house, before I was on TikTok, and now like I find myself thinking things about people because I know their sign, or being like, oh, I'm a Virgo, so that means this, and I think that's stupid. Let me talk about the society that I was raised in. I am a girl who was raised extremely Christian. I was encouraged to ignore a lot of my thoughts. Anything from, you know, just sexually immoral thoughts to even thinking slightly negatively about someone. Not to mention blasphemous thoughts, which really are a lot of the times just questions about this religion that we've all subscribed to. You weren't allowed to have those thoughts. Now, the problem with that is, how often can you really control your thoughts? Not, right? The thoughts are the only things that we have that are ours. The only thing that no one can impede on. And all my life, I was raised to... I'm getting emotional. All my life, I was raised to believe or just think that my thoughts were not just my own. Someone else had access to them, and they were judging me for them. So I had to make sure they were good, and I had to make sure they were clean. I was raised to be polite to everyone. You know, if someone hits me, turn the other cheek type thing. Like, no matter how poorly I'm treated, I have to make sure that I'm still showing that person love and kindness. I had to not take up too much space. This one is weird because I don't necessarily remember being taught this, but I know that this is something generally that like women, especially Christian women, I mean women in general, are taught to do, subconsciously or not. But I don't take up space. I try not to. I don't know why I do it, but I try to make myself very small. The goal was to be Jesus-like, and I thought I was being Jesus-like, and that was good, you know? And that could be my personality. But that's not it's not necessarily not me. But like, it's also very much a person that has been curated for very specific needs. We're all creatures of our experiences. We're all made up of our experiences and the people we've known and whatever. So maybe this is me, but who would I be if I was just left completely alone and completely to my own devices? How would I look? What would I act like? The more I talk about it, the more confused I'm getting, because I'm just really realizing how little of myself I was allowed to be, and how scared of myself I am. What is myself? I don't know. Okay, anyways, so that's me, right? When I think back to like the society I was raised in, the biggest word I can think of is Christian. African as well. That has its own like issues. All this to say, I feel like I've just been grasping at different labels, just trying to find something that fit, and it hasn't really been working. I deleted TikTok, I deleted Instagram, and I'm hoping that helps. I think it has helped. But I can't help but I keep going back to that year when I had nobody really, and I was so good. I was fine. And I think I just need that again. I think I need to be like 100% by myself, and that's not gonna happen in a while. I think what I've realized in this little chat we've had is that I need to do what's true to myself in the moment. I have the power to form my own opinions about things. And just because someone else has an opinion on something doesn't mean it needs to be my own. It doesn't mean it's necessarily right. Maybe it's right for them, but it might not be right for me. And I think I just need to accept power in that, and like accept the power that I have within myself. Anyways, thank you for watching. Just a reminder for you folks out there, this is not to my friends. Don't leave me alone. Thank you for watching. I hope that this did as much for you, or did something for you like it did for me, because I learned a lot. But thank you, and I will see you later.
Your honey water wine.